What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another Because of Sales podcast episode. This one is a lot different because it's really our first AI focused episode. So we have my boy on, Brandon Harris, killer salesperson, has done 30K plus in a month in commissions, who has now pivoted into selling his own AI solutions for businesses, online businesses, blue collar businesses, all of the like. And Brandon is just like a really genuine guy, really good head on his shoulders, someone I enjoy catching up with. Brandon, I think we mentioned it in this podcast, but he actually built something that helps me with the Because of Sales newsletter that we're going to get into. But yeah, honestly, overall good video. If you are looking to learn more about AI in sales in your business, you're going to want to listen to this episode. So speaking of the newsletter and what Brandon has helped us do, go subscribe. It's free. The link is down below in the subscription. It's the first link. It will always be free. And every Wednesday with your coffee, we want to send you a 5-minute read. Everything that is going on in sales, news, tips, tricks, memes, AI stuff, along with a deep dive breakdown of these podcast recordings and some actionable tips that you guys can pull from them. So go subscribe to that. Take 5 seconds, do it. And now into the podcast with Brandon. All right, you guys, Because of Sales podcast, we are back with a good one for you guys, a special AI episode with Brandon Harris. Brandon, thank you for coming on.
Happy to be here. I've been stoked for a while. I've been anxious about the day where I'm like, Dylan, can I come on the podcast? And it arrived and I'm so pumped. I'm excited. It's gonna be fun.
So I've known Brandon for a little bit now. So this should be a good episode of a little bit of catching up, seeing what's new with his business. Brandon comes from sales background, which we'll talk about a little bit. He's now building an AI business. You might have some cool terminology for it, but he basically helps people build and implement AI solutions to make their life better and easier, make their business more profitable. And we're going to specifically talk about that when it comes to sales too. And so this is actually, I'm stoked for this because you're the first AI guy specifically that we've had on. We've had people that use AI. We talked about it, but this is what you do. So it's going to be good. So can you give us just the rundown of the current business, how you would pitch it? Because I did it, but I'm not sure if I did it right.
I love working with small business owners. And recently we've been killing it in the service-based niche. So contractors, HVAC companies, property management, I even just onboarded a TPA. What I like to talk about is I say, hey, you probably use AI every day, but you don't know how to weave it into your business. I do. And not only can I put out the fires you deal with every day, but I can evolve your business to become a disruptor using AI in ways that you would have never been able to imagine. So meet with me and let's see what's possible. That's my 1 to 2 floor elevator pitch. Yeah.
Cool. All right, you guys. So you heard that. We're going to put you guys on some game. I know a lot of people, including myself, who, like you said, we use AI all the time, but there's always more you could be doing. And I think you can tell us a little bit about that. But before we get into that, man, let's build a little bit of context for the viewers. You have a sales background. I don't even remember what kind of sales you started in. But what kind of industry were you in and what was that first experience like for you?
So I'm LDS Mormon. So I came off my Mormon mission and had no clue what to do, riddled with ADHD, couldn't focus. And then a friend said, hey, I need a mattress salesman. So I sold mattresses for a week and a half. And right then, I loved convincing people to do things because I'm just a manipulative asshole, but I thought it was a lot of fun. And then my buddy recruited me to go work at a blue collar company, which was a blast. So from there, I got back into sales. I was recruited by Vivint to go door to door. And for the first 3 months, I was killing it. And then I got bored and then I got insecure and then it all fell apart and I didn't do so well at the end. Went back to the blue collar gig for a summer. It was awesome. And then back into sales. And it was a friend who I did CrossFit with. They were starting a athletic recovery equipment company. It's pneumatic compression boots. They're all over the place now. That company didn't really do so well. After I left that to go into tech sales. And that's really where things leveled up. So was managing that little offer, went to BambooHR, one of the larger tech-based HR companies. I think there's more out there that are kicking their butt right now, but I was there for 3 years, killed it. I trailblazed one of their cold outreach teams right before I left. I was top 10 for the enterprise sales tier for a year straight. Yeah, it was awesome and taught me a lot about sales and being professional, which is not a strong suit of mine. And then that's when I went to help my buddy start a service-based software company. And they hired some new leadership. We called them the larva because that's the energy they gave off. They're just like super weird and lame, and they suffocated it. So at that point, that's when the push to remote high ticket came in. And so sold for a e-com done for you company, killed it, like literally doubled my income overnight. And I just hit the guy up. I purchased the offer and then I said, hey, I can sell this. Just give me a few leads a day. Let me show you what I can do. Bam, like closed nearly everybody I talked to. At that point, it was obvious. He had me on, killed it, built a team around it, met some of the best connections that are still benefiting me today. And then, yeah, I bounced around the high ticket sales game remote for 2 or 3 years and then finally hit an offer that motivated me to get in AI. But that's my background. Yeah.
Dude, so you sold a lot of different things. We probably have people listening to this that are currently selling each of those things. Maybe not the boots, but blue collar, door to door, tech, the high ticket stuff. I want to focus on like the tech stuff because like 3 years selling enterprise top rep. Why did you not just like go to another tech company, sell enterprise deals and make your cozy 200 plus a year or like build in that direction, right? Why did you not do that?
Yeah, I've thought about this a lot and whether I liked it or not, because it was all therapy, right? But I couldn't figure it out why I got bored, but that was it. I got bored fast and I just felt like I hit my growth ceiling and something just felt off. At that time, I couldn't label it, but I just had to find a way to blaze my own trail. I think part of it was I do great on my own. Like when I can make my own decisions and think without other people's inputs, I do really cool stuff. And at a tech company, you're on rails. And for a lot of people, that's solid. But I kind of hit my limit of energy that I could put into it. But now I realize that was a combination of unmedicated ADHD and a desire to grow. There was a point, like we've talked about this before, and honestly, you were instrumental in this, and I've told you about that. But there was a point just like 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, where I finally became the man I always wanted to be. And I didn't realize who that person was yet. But my whole life, I'd envisioned who is Brandon at peak level, like Super Saiyan Brandon, who is that? And I just think my soul and nervous system wasn't there and it knew it. And it just drove me to change. That's what happened.
It sounds like this is how I see it. It sounds like you see it similar. The high ticket stuff was kind of a nice blend of kind of paving your own trail while still having the somewhat of predictability in a decent income. Is that safe to say?
Totally. Yeah. Like, dude, you're telling me I could take 3 calls a day, make 140 to 200 a year. And then in the middle of my day at 2 p.m., go play Tarkov for an hour and a half. Come on. Like that was golden. And then take calls like in my truck, there's a fresh lead and not being nervous about, I got to put on a good show for the manager coming in today. It didn't matter. They're like, dude, we just want money. If your sales skills can give us money, we don't give a shit what you do. And it was sweet. And I was like, perfect. And it fits so well.
Pros and cons to that kind of like contracted 1099 space. But I always say, man, I mean, I'm still in that space today. It's maybe the best paid internship that you can get on running your own online business, which is obviously what you're doing here today, right? So anyways, man, so you closing high ticket, you sold a little bit of this, sold a little bit of that, and here we are. You're the AI guy now. What did you recently get added to? Something in Utah. Well, it's like a group.
Oh yeah, so BNI. It's funny, I've been in for like a month and a half and I don't know the full acronym, but I think it's Business Networking International. And it's like big in real estate, but they offer exclusive industry seats per chapter. And I think Austin has like a dozen chapters. But yeah, your seat comes in and no one else can take that seat. You buy it. Like my seat here in Utah was $1,100 for the year. And I'm like, easy ROI if I can get leads out of this. Just one triples my investment. But it's awesome because it's all about, you have to put in a decent amount of effort, not too much, but they track KPIs. And all of those KPIs drive leads and references for you, whether that's connecting you to a reference partner of another business who can send you business, or straight up, which is where I kind of fit in, was just working with my chapter as clients, like to give them solutions of what I offer. But that's been killer. Yeah. Changed my life, changed my business.
So yeah, I point that out to show like, you're really in this. You're not some fly-by-night AI guy. You've like, I don't know if you guys are looking on YouTube or if you're on Spotify, but if you're on YouTube, you can see he's got the whole studio set up. You got the wall behind, like you're all in on it, right? The content's being produced. You mentioned earlier, you're kind of like attention span, pretty fast paced. You get bored. You want to be the highest version of yourself. Why do you think AI was the outlet for that?
It tickles me just thinking about it. But when I initially embraced AI, and I can tell that story, but the ADHD style thinking, I just made an Instagram post on this. But if you have ADHD, like you were born to use AI and level up and make a ton of money on it. With ADHD, you end up thinking in a web. Like if you and I have a personal conversation one-to-one, we're having 6 conversations at once. And I don't mean to. I've learned not to get distracted by that. And Big Pharma has medicated me to not get so distracted by that. But I might think of something that in the background, you say something that updates some kind of memory file I had stored that I didn't know I needed. And that's just logged. And then later it comes up and I focus on it. But the reason AI is great is because AI, you have a question, it gives you a response, and then I can sit back and without having to focus on a lecture or watch a video and make sure I'm paying attention, I can just sit with that thought and contemplate and just hit a flow state where I'm like, okay, where does this go from here now? And then all the ideas open up and I can just ask it without any flashback, without any condensation, without being stressed about the response I'm going to get back. I can just open up and spew whatever drivel I want into an LLM and it'll engage with that, for better or worse. That helped me open up ideas that I wasn't able to explore, because with ADHD, the ideas come and go so fast. With AI, I can get them out in multiple chats if I had to, and all of them get fully fleshed out. Because AI is great at mirroring you. And yeah, at the moment I engaged with it at that level, I was like, yeah, I'm using this forever. I have to.
Well, I know, before AI was really what it is today, you were doing like a lot of kind of behind the scenes operations work for some of these sales teams, right? So like maybe you started to use AI, but I don't think it began with AI, right? Like it was just like simple, maybe webhook, Zapier, GoHighLevel automations. Do you feel like that was like a stepping stone to the AI stuff, or?
Yeah, what did it for me, what radicalized me to AI was, as a direct closer, commission only, every part of the process that I did not control somehow affected my paycheck. Like I'll say clawback and everyone here is going to get chills and like shudder at it, because clawbacks for high ticket sales are the worst, freaking worst. Like you tell me 30 days later, we gave someone a refund and that's like $3,000 clawback on this low month check that I got. Like, come on. So deliverables are bad. I get doc pay. If leads suck, I don't get paid and I just waste time on my calendar. So there was a point of like, dude, what problems can I fix to help me not lose so much money and time? And that's when I got into basic automations like Pipedrive or GoHighLevel, right? You can build out little workflows that do a pretty good amount of work for you. And that's where it started. So, and that was actually way back. Like for Pipedrive, I was one of their original beta testers at that compression boot company I worked at. And that kind of put me on a path of like, I can automate busy work that my brain hates doing. Sweet. All right.
You and I both have like a good amount of experience doing that. I wanted to ask you this also before we kind of just go full AI mode here. You've had some really high earning months as a sales rep, multi 5-figure, from what I understand, right? Why would you just not stay a sales rep? We mentioned it's kind of like the perfect blend of fast paced, don't really get bored. And yes, there's pros and cons to being a sales rep, but I want to hear kind of your reasoning as to why like it's important for you to kind of build your own thing versus just being like gunslinger 1099 salesperson.
Yeah, totally. Like there's a time and place for that. Like I needed those years of grinding and winning, right? To prove what I could do. It got to a point though where I just got old and grouchy and like a little burned out with sales, I think. So it was a combination of that. And then another part of, hey, I could probably do more on my own. Like I can probably offer enough value to an individual or a company and get paid either more or have more time and freedom and more control over my everyday. Because high ticket's great, man. But as you know, and your community knows, like you can get on an offer that's awesome for 6 months. And then again, not up to you how it continues to perform. You're just there for the sales. So if they shift gears or a platform that they rely on changes policy, like Amazon, like it's really hard to be good at e-com because of how often Amazon changes their policies. You're cooked, right? So you have to have something else as a backfill. At least that's how I felt. Like I know guys in the high ticket space, like, Paul, I won't dox him totally, but that dude crushes. And he always will. It's just how he's built. But for me, I'm like, I'm skilled enough to offer my own thing to somebody. I don't know what it is. And I'm kind of tired of not being successful because of decisions that other people made that I rely on.
No, that's completely fair. That's definitely one of the cons of that 1099 high ticket space is like you only control so much. You could start to control like those automations and stuff. It's going to help you save time, be more efficient. But I don't know, you just only control so much. And then, business ownership seems like the next best thing or better thing, right? Anyway, so you get basically consumed with AI. You're like, this is freaking awesome. Where has this been my whole life? Did you start doing the AI stuff is kind of like freelance, or did you go agency from day one? You're like running this agency, this is who we are. How did that work?
Initially, I hated the idea of running an agency. Like just the word agency bothered me because I thought it was saturated and overused and like every guru is doing an agency. The creative process of getting into AI was very artistic for me. That's just how I think. And I wanted to provide like creative, powerful, high level AI, like blow your mind solutions. But in practice, like what people want is the boring shit. And then you get to that next evolution level after the fires are put out. So to me, no, like the way it triggered me was I needed an app to present ROI on a high ticket offer I was managing and selling. It was a fitness offer, and the guy knew exactly what he was doing. He had a great program, and I didn't have it. So I'm looking for an app. I asked my buddy, just says, dude, go to GPT and have it build one for you. I'm like, well, I don't know how to code. He's like, no, I know. You're an idiot. I know you don't. Go to GPT. And so sure enough, dude, within 2 weeks of just banging my head against it, I built it. And my close rate jumped up 50% overnight. It was awesome. Because now these broke coaches could see, oh, there is real money in this and there's proof. So at that level, yeah, I just started to talk to my buddies who were entrepreneurs who own businesses. And what really did is I never shut up about AI. So everyone would come and talk to me and I would bring up AI, and they started to say, just within a few weeks of me talking about it, they would say, oh yeah, no, you're the AI guy in the group. I'm like, sweet, I'll take that. I know hardly anything, but apparently I know more than most. So that's good. And that's where it started, led me into things. And I would just say, hey, let me automate that. Or let me build a little agent that can be automated or that can be handled for you. And that won me my first couple deals. Yeah. Simple newsletter, a chat agent, like little stuff.
Yeah. Actually, you brought up one good point, and then you brought up another good point. You mentioned newsletter. Yeah. We're in a group chat together that we volunteered you to be the AI guy in. So yeah, I can attest to that. But then also for those of you guys that are newsletter subscribers here, because of Sales Newsletter, go subscribe if you're not. Brandon, this is like one cool thing that I'm sure you like would be useful to people that are in a certain industry and they need to know what's going on. But Brandon like built us a tool, and still running today. It's like one of my favorite things that we use, but it's basically a scraper for a certain site, obviously in the sales niche. And some of the stuff that I send every single week, it's because of Brandon's scraper that fires every Monday, rain or shine at, I don't know what time it fires, but
like 8 a.m. Central or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super helpful. And I can only imagine, dude, like if I was in, you mentioned HVAC, if I'm in HVAC and I need to know what's going on, the same thing. So it's different because I'm using it for like kind of a media news style thing. But if you're using it as a sales rep, like it could be great.
Really, it's pretty simple. Like it's so funny because there will be weeks I forget about it. And then I get the email on Monday. I'm like, oh yeah, I built that. Like, cool. And I'll jump in and it just scrapes Reddit for like specific subreddits, and it summarizes the conversations happening and it links to the post. But there was that one recently where that kid was making 300 cold calls a day and everyone's like, someone do a wellness check. Like it was brutal. And I'm like, see, these kind of stories are so fun to tell from a media perspective. This is life in sales. Like you got some guys just dogging it. Let's see how they do. But it can be used for like a lot of different ways and reasons. And to me, that's a baby one. When I built it, I was like, this is insane. And now I'm like, oh, dude, no, that would take me 3 minutes maybe.
No, that's crazy. Because even me, I've been asking you questions about it. Like I'm interested in how we can take it to the next level or whatever, but I have no idea how I would build something like that. So the fact that it's like baby work for you, and I'm just like, I kind of understand the basics, but I don't know how to actually do it, is another representation of how much you're actually in this. So speaking of being in this, we're talking to salespeople, we're talking to business owners who are here because they want to learn how to get better, sell more, make more, all that. I don't even know where to start, man. Like, you know how to do all these different things. This is kind of what happens to me with AI. It's like, there's so many things I can do. There's so many things I can talk about. Where do we start? So these people are probably waiting for you to say like, okay, you guys need to do this, this, and this to save time. So let's talk about saving time. And let's assume there's a salesperson that's listening to this. They have a CRM, they have some sort of automation access. What do you think are some things that these people would like to know about that would help them save time?
First one is just like the boring stuff, which is if you have access to a CRM and you don't have someone who's like hyper fixated on making those automations and workflows just gold for you. That's how I started. I was like, let me go in, and I just raw dogged it in my brain. I'm like, well, I know how sales conversations should go, so let's do it. Dude, just use AI. If you're a setter right now, you could go look at a workflow, screenshot an automation, and just tell it what your process is and what you want to automate and what platform you use. And then it'll walk you through how to set everything up. A lot of AI guys are ashamed to say that. Like, dude, I'm a power user of AI, like LLMs, of like, hey, I will collect payment from a client knowing full well I'm going to figure it out as I go. And I have complete confidence in that. And it always works out. because I ask the questions to the LLM, it walks me through something I've never done before. And now I'm able to do something that agencies are charging 10 grand a month for. And I was able to spin it up completely on my own. So that's where I would start. Like, start with what you have access to. And there's a couple things you can kind of build out really easy inside of ChatGPT, for one, that are really powerful, that you don't need to know all these other platforms or craziness. But the first step is, review what your process is like, and then look at the tasks. So revenue generating activities and non-revenue generating activities. That's where sales reps should start this process. What actions actually lead to income, revenue, and what actions do not? Any action that does not lead to revenue generation should and can be automated. Now, the ones that lead to revenue are the conversations, the unique tailored follow-ups, like value add engagement, and the direct closing call on your skill set. Like, that can't be replaced, and it won't be for a long time. But everything else, preparing them for the call, what you send after the call, how you engage with them throughout, that can be automated, likely in the system you're using right now.
All right, guys, quick break in this podcast to talk about the sponsor of the podcast, the Serial Sales Community. Brandon actually is a member. I don't have it here, but we just gave him a 10K per month trophy sponsored by the community at our meetup in Austin, Texas. So the Serial Sales Community is a community that focuses on getting sales professionals like yourself into quality 1099 remote appointment setting or closing jobs. These are jobs for primarily online businesses that are driving inbound leads, more leads than they can handle, and they need sales talent. This is not traditionally going to be like tech sales where there's these huge funded companies or insurance where you have to pay for your own leads. These people generate the leads. The most valuable thing that you can offer to them is calendar space and a little bit of sales talent. And so if you're interested in working for any kind of companies like that, such as coaching, consulting, agencies, service providers, masterminds, boot camps, some software companies, we can help you do that. So get your time freedom back, get your location freedom back, potentially earn more money. Can't guarantee you anything like that. And click the second link in the description. Learn more about the community that we run, how it can benefit you. And if you decide to book a call, mention because of sales on your call. We'll give you 5% off any membership you choose. Now back to the pod. I have so many questions. If I'm a sales rep who's like, I know about AI, I kind of know what it can do, and I'm like looking to add it to my arsenal, like I'm looking to add it to my workflow, whatever. How do I know that what I want to do isn't just a matter of a simple automation and custom field in a CRM? Like, how do I know that I actually need an AI tool to get this job done?
Yeah, dude, this still happens to me. Like, having dozens of clients, like this still happens, right? I go through ChatGPT or one of the LLMs and I talk about what I want and the tech stack I'm comfortable with. And then it rolls out this crazy solution. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I made a voice agent. This was hilarious. I made a voice agent, had this crazy wiring in the back end, like using a third-party app. And I'm like, dude, wait, 11 Labs does all of this. Like, the full agent can be trained and managed inside one app. And then so I told the LLM that, and it was like, oh yeah, let's just do that. I'm like, well, why didn't you tell me that? That's your job, right? But it's not. It's the human's job to be intuitive and smart about it. So I would say when you start your prompts, like, have your LLM or whatever chat you're talking to prep for that. Like, hey, these are the tools I have access to. Do I need something custom, or can this be done natively, is kind of the tech term for it. And it'll tell you straight up. And as you go through, it's like, look, you can do this in GoHighLevel. Here are your limitations compared to if you did it in N8N or make.com or whatever. It'll tell you what your limitations and options are. And then you can look at it and go, yeah, the super custom backend stuff sounds cool, but you have to decide how crazy you want to go with it. But natively, you just have to prep it to tell you, what is available where.
I'm either going to expose myself or help some people who are wondering this, but LLM, that, for example, is like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, that kind of stuff. Like, whenever you're approaching a project, a build, perhaps sales related, maybe not, doesn't really matter in this instance. Like, these main ones, what's the thought process on how to decide which tool to use for the job?
The thought process for me is, what am I already good at? That's really because of speed and familiarity. Like, I know GoHighLevel super well. So if I can start the build there, or the client already uses it, awesome. Now, if they're in other places, the rule is just start with what you know. And if you know nothing, learn and figure it out as you go.
When it comes to, like, if hey, I need to use an LLM, they're all like good at different things, right? So like, how do you evaluate that?
Yeah. So from experience, like, your ideas are best handled in ChatGPT 5 thinking mode. Because now with the 5 launch, it's been pretty controversial, but if you know how to prompt it and use it, it's great. But ideas, OpenAI, ChatGPT, code and building, I've been testing Claude, and I've been a little annoyed with how it runs because it does really well, but it still messes up. Gemini 2.5 references Google. So any YouTube video, any Google information that you want, it does a little bit better than GPT on context. So if you need fresh context, you can tell ChatGPT to research and give you fresh today context, but you have to prompt that every time. Gemini will do it pretty much right away. So if I'm ideating, like idea, I go to GPT. If I'm direct building, it's between GPT. If I'm building an N8N, it's Gemini 2.5 Pro because that understands that system better and it's a little bit more straight. It doesn't think as long or as big. And then for Claude, like code purposes, Claude's your boy. Like if you got to code something, Claude is the way to go.
You know, I've known Claude to be the strongest one, and this is not my personal experience. This is what I hear people say. I like ChatGPT for this, but people say Claude is really good for writing.
Yeah, writing copy, Claude kills. That's a good point. Yep.
I wonder why it's good at code and writing. I guess I could see some similarities between the two.
I think for the code side, like that's just the heavy focus that they've made because they have their CLI Claude Code, which has been just crazy. So I think it's a mix of what they've wanted to offer. Like they're clearly the winner of coding, and they probably, I don't know, I haven't heard, but I haven't talked to them, right? But they probably knew that they could beat OpenAI at direct code. And so they've niched down into that. Now copy, yeah, like I even called GPT out on this today, but you've all heard it. It does it's not this, it's that. It's called antithesis, I think, where it does contrast comparisons and it's clearly AI written. Claude doesn't do that. So it's probably been trained on more human dialogue and like stylized writing, where ChatGPT is just trying to get you great information. And sometimes it's overkill and sounds like a bot.
I mean, I think the safe thing to say is like, if you're using this to generate like sales emails, text, reminders, whatever, like it's a draft. You know, like you still, at least at this point in time, like you need to review, revise, and finalize these things. That's what I do. So
yeah, on that note too, though, like you can prep your LLM really well. And the first step for anybody, even if you've engaged with AI, if you haven't done this, do it ASAP. Just go talk to your LLM and have it interview you about you, how you talk, how you write, what you think about, hobbies you enjoy, the kind of computer you use, like whatever. Just talk to it about your life in full. And then you can have it create a file that you can save on your computer where anytime you start a new chat, you drop that file in. Hey, here's me, let's build. Or let's talk, let's whatever. And even for sales, you can feed it your transcripts and then create a master dialogue context file for you. Like this is how Dylan writes. And if you do it enough, it'll get really good at mirroring your talking style. And Gemini specifically does a great job at that.
I've seen that a little bit, but I know it could be a lot better if I made an intentional effort to like upload files, like give it more information. I do want to kind of talk a little bit about like some real actionable stuff. So you mentioned, well, we have an event happening later this month. This podcast will come out after the event, but at the event, it's salespeople and you're going to come with some cool stuff to hand out, not physically, maybe physically. I don't know what you've got.
We had an idea for poker chips with a QR code for me and my marketing guy, but we're going to do poker cards with our branding and stuff on them. It'll be fun. Yeah.
You mentioned there's some like really easy, simple to use AI tools that you just want to like empower these sales reps with. And before we started recording, you're like, there's one I'm happy to talk about a little early. Do you want to dive into that?
Yeah, absolutely. Think of it like what I want to offer the community, and hold me to it, because if this is after the event and I haven't delivered on something, hit me up. But think of it like your sales AI starter kit. Even if you're using AI every day, this will level you up like no matter what. But the first one is a process where you create a custom GPT for you. It's super easy to do. And you train it on coaching you based on a framework that you really like. Like we're having Johnny Mon and Kishan at that event. They specialize in a Socratic framework that works insanely well. I actually just trained over the weekend a conversation agent in a CRM using their stuff, and it killed it. But anyway, you can have a custom GPT that is your coach. And what you can do, even if it's manual and it's not this crazy automation yet, every single one of these high ticket offers records calls, Fireflies, Gemini, some way. If you can take that transcript and put it into that custom GPT that I'll show you how to make, it can coach you on what you missed. Like here's your call transcript, here's missed opportunities, here's where you can level up, and here's how the next call you have can be better. And it can essentially coach you live on every single conversation, because sales coaching is amazing. I mean, I've dumped 20 grand into sales coaching. You can't get your coaches off of every single call, and they don't have the time to listen to your entire conversation. Like if I gave John a call transcript and he had the time, dude, he could go crazy on it. But I'm down to get 70, 80% of what John could give me live right now with a trained GPT on his framework. That's one that everyone will have access to right away. But there's a few on just coaching you how to look for and build out automations within stacks that you use.
How do I know when I've given it enough data? And I know the answer is like, oh, more is always better if it's good data, right? But let's say Cole Gordon, for example. I take some Cole Gordon YouTube videos, some role plays, and I upload 5 of those into a GPT. Like 5 is a lot, but will I see a notable difference between like 5 and 10? Will I see 5 and 20? Or if I just put 1 versus 5, like is there like kind of an exponential gain there or any point of diminishing returns that you know about?
Yeah, for sure. So think of it like going vertically versus laterally. So if you have one style of conversation, like here's a training call I had with a client, and that's all you ever put into it, after a certain amount, it's just not going to help anymore. But if you can go broad and say, hey, here's a live call with a client that I closed, now include 5 of those transcripts. Or here's a personal conversation I had with a buddy just chopping it up about sales. That's another context window, because context is very big for AI. And if you just give it one vertical of context, it's going to catch it and learn that insanely fast. Like 2 or 3 files or 2 or 3 transcripts on one topic is going to kill it. But if you broaden that and give it multiple kinds of topics, it'll get a lot more powerful.
Did I ask you about Manus AI recently?
I think you did.
I have a boy, he's actually scheduled on to come on this podcast, Nick Verge. He's going to be a couple episodes after this one. He's like kind of a copywriter, makes VSLs, but he takes sales call transcripts, takes like 20 of them and puts them into Manus AI. And the reason why he uses Manus AI is because ChatGPT, his words, not to throw him under the bus if this is not true in front of the AI guy, but ChatGPT, and I can even speak from my own experience here, like the context window is big, but if I give it 20 call transcripts, like it kind of has a tendency to read, and summarize, right? How do you avoid that?
Yeah, so model selection is really important. Like the 5 thinking model can handle a lot more tokens. Like the more you give it, the more tokens you're taking up. And like Claude, I hit this all the time as a builder. I hit my message limit on the most powerful premium version of Claude like every time I use it. And it pisses me off because I'm like, shit, I want it to give me a prompt to start a new chat. And now I'm cooked and I have to kind of make one myself. And that's really frustrating. I don't hit those limits with GPT-5 thinking. And it was the same with O3. Like if you don't like 5, go pick the old model O3 and rock and roll with that thing. But yeah, Manus has an insane context and token limit. So you can dump a crap load in there and just rock and roll. But yeah, GPT does have that limit sometimes, depending on the model. Like if you just use their base 5 model or 4.0, it got to a point where I never worked with 4.0. It was just too limited. But 5, I have not hit that window yet or often, but I will start to notice the chat after like hundreds of messages and huge file analyzations start to slow down. And then I just context refresh in the same project so it can reference that same chat, but it now is refocused. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. Like it just kind of loses focus. It forgets like little details and then it pulls the wrong details from like a different conversation or whatever. I was listening to a podcast recently where this guy, you know, kind of a very similar conversation, but he's the owner of HubSpot and he's talking about, or they asked him, they're like, do you use like ChatGPT for this and Claude for this or whatever? He's like, yeah, I don't really directly use any of them. I use my own that I built. So he like basically API'd, because the problem he was trying to solve is like, okay, dude, if I've been using ChatGPT for the past 12 months, but now I want to use Claude, but I don't want to commit because it doesn't know as much about me, my business, all that. So he like taped them all together to make his own. Is that something you've done? Is that something you've considered? So that way you don't have to like keep giving context between one another, or how do you see that?
I have some quick hacks because like that's called an MCP server type of solution where it can integrate multiple agents. I love them. I think they're great. But personally, like I'm killing it and I'm not using one. I want to, but I think it would definitely be easier on my process to have something that knows which model to pick at the right time. But for now, no, I go through updates where I have a file that's my business profile, my personal profile, and then my tech profile, which just updates it on today of it's a document that says, here's what Brandon uses, here's what Brandon's about, here's what Stride is. And then at any point, I can just drag, up to date, ready to go. Because I prefer using OpenAI for pretty much everything. But MCP is smart is like, hey, what if I need recent news information? I want to go to Grok. I want information from that, not GPT. So yeah, having a context model switcher like that is awesome.
How did you build the context files? Did you use AI to build those? Like if I'm a sales rep and I'm like, okay, well, I want to use this for sales, but also for me as a person, like how can they build these?
So GPT and I think all of them now, you have a little microphone button. I yap. So I would just go in and just talk about what I do, talk about what I know, talk about my experience and background. I've been using Plot a lot. So like this little note-taking device, it's AI, transcribes within 16 feet. I'll have it at the event. I'm obsessed with this thing. I'll just talk into that. I'll go on a walk and I'll just talk into that for an hour about a specific topic. And then it uses AI to summarize and break things up. I'll just download that file, click and drag over to GPT and say, hey, here's my thoughts on who I am as a person. Summarize it down into a context heavy file that I could send to any LLM and it would have complete context on who I am as a person. And it'll create this cool little file. And that's worked out pretty well.
One thing that I've done, I've started doing that as well, is just talking to it, right? So I'll know, like, I do this for making YouTube videos. It's like, I know this is the concept that I want to make a YouTube video on. It's usually something that like has some shock value and I have to like build the case as to why I'm making this video, right? So I'll be like, okay, this is the point I want to make. Provide me with like 50 questions for me to answer. And then I take those 50 questions, I'll leave it on my computer if that's where I am, but I usually do it while I'm like walking or running. I'll like literally be on a run. And then I just like turn on the voice and I answer all 50 questions. And then I say, give me this, whatever I need, right? Sometimes I say like, give me like 3 main points for my YouTube video and give me 3 sub points.
That's really good. Yeah, or a long drive if you drive a lot. But a run, dude, I hadn't even heard of that idea. And frankly, that's great. Having it give you questions as prompts for yourself to talk about. Oh, that's solid. Yes.
Okay, so this brings in a cool topic to talk about. Sometimes, and you're like exponentially more in AI than I am, but even at my level, dude, I feel like whether it's from a sales perspective or a personal perspective, sometimes I'm doing stuff with AI and I'm like, am I doing too much right now? Like, do I need to be doing this? Is this even an efficient use of my time? Like, am I too in the weeds right now? Like, do I need to zoom out, or do you ever get that way?
Dude, every day. Yeah.
Okay.
It was just last week. I'm trying to connect all these tools for my HVAC guy. And I'm like, I just call him like, dude, can I just put you in GHL? Can I just reset everything? You give me 2 extra days on my deadline. And he's like, oh, for sure. And I'm like, great. But yeah, there's so many times I'm like, hold up. This feels way too complicated than it should be. That's probably a signal that you're doing too much.
What's another example besides like a sales coach, which I love that, dude. I'm trying to build this right now. Actually, this is probably a cool exercise to do that would be relevant to like anybody who is listening to this, salesperson or business owner. So this is something I'm actively trying to build. And it's kind of an elaboration of what we've already talked about, which is like a custom GPT that is trained on a certain framework that I like, right? So what I'm trying to do is we use Fathom, which I heard is not very developer API friendly, but Fathom has their own like AI summaries, right? So I want to automatically trigger when a sales call is done from Fathom, take the transcript and put that into my custom GPT, have it interpret it against the sales framework that I want, recommend useful things for marketing, for the closer, for our business, and then spit that into a Slack message automatically. So if you were to try to build something like that, like what's your first approach?
First approach is to see how the tools all work together. So will Fathom webhook or API into N8N, where I can take it to an agent that knows how to determine what the points are and how to summarize it. And then can it connect? I know N8N can, but N8N then connect to the front-facing tool like Slack. I have my agent in Slack Rogue. She's fucking awesome. She helps me plan everything and keeps me on track. So what's the tool that's taking in the dialogue? Can it connect to N8N or directly to your agent? Which there aren't too many that do that. And then can it go there? There are even some where you can have them on your desktop, like Whisper or Plot even. If you get an account, it can do the same thing where it records it on its own. And then you can use all of its templates, which are fucking amazing. And then that can feed into that process for you. You would just have to make sure to connect. That's the first thing I do. I call it the plumbing. It's like, well, does the plumbing work? What's the plumbing?
Yeah, that's a good way to frame it. So as me, sales guy / business owner that's a little bit intimidated by N8N, I should probably learn how to use it. But as I'm thinking through that process, and we kind of have it working, kind of don't, I'm thinking Fathom, it gives me the transcript, something along the lines, and maybe this is just a detour way, right? Something along the lines of like download the transcript, Google Drive, pull from Google Drive, like Zapier, or like N8N isn't even like in my realm. Like I know what it is. I know that it's powerful. But like, what do you say to that person who's like, hey man, this tool, I'm kind of afraid of it. Like, I don't know how to use it.
No, it's easy. I'll make this part of like the launch kit, but make a custom GPT that does that. Custom GPT, you prompt it and train it, maybe give it a few files so it can reference it about how you want it to think and how you want it to act. And maybe you turn off web search. Like, don't let it search the web. It's only allowed to reference what you've got. And then just give it that. Like, take that file you've got and just drop it in, and then it'll know what to do intuitively because you've trained it to. When I drop a file, do this. It gives you those points. You just tweak it until you're happy with what it gives you. And that's it. You don't need some fancy backend automation. Even think now, let me look at the tools. I don't know if it connects to Slack yet. Yeah, not yet, but you can go connect your ChatGPT natively to Gmail, Calendar, Google Contacts, Google Drive, and Notion. They're probably going to have more later, but
what I think I was doing is I was sending it to Zapier and then using the formatting. You know how you can like format? They have like an AI thing in there now. So using the AI thing to like reformat to then send to Slack. I don't know. It hasn't really worked that well.
Zap's finicky. Yeah, Zap is old. And think of N8N as like the new, sexy, more powerful, customizable version of Zapier.
Yeah, it's scary. I've tried to use it, dude.
No, first, like, dude, what is a loop over? There were nodes I installed that clients paid me for that were running that I still didn't understand. Like, oh, I don't know how it works, but it works.
I might have to ask you about that after this and see if you can help us
Well,
with
dude, the
that.
process you described, that's a baby build. That's an easy one.
I'm glad to hear that from you. All right, dude. So what else, salespeople listening, business owners, I'm trying to think of how do we drive some value here? Like we've been driving value. How do we really drive some more value? Anything come to mind? Actually, here's a good prompt. I'm going to prompt you like you're an AI. Okay. What is like a blind spot that a lot of sales reps and business owners might have when it comes to AI and implementing it into what it is that they do, that if they were aware and implementing this solution or whatever, like would drastically change the way they do business or earn money or whatever?
Two components here. One, AI cannot fix a shitty product or service. If you think you have this ego around your offer and you think it's amazing and you're like, well, it's only not working because it's not automated or we don't have AI in it, you're already screwed. You should just restart or reframe your service. The other side is speed to lead is a pretty common term in sales. How fast can you interact with a lead? And there's no real value attached to it. It's just talk to the lead as fast as possible. I think speed to meaning is the old speed to lead. So how quickly in a conversation or how quickly from the time that a lead engages with you till you provide actual meaning in the conversation, the shorter that window, the more likely you are to close that deal. Speed to lead's easy. It's basically automatic now. Speed to meaning is much more important. Speed to meaning can look like, it's basically this. How many minutes go by from the time that the client has interacted or the lead has interacted with your business? Do they state a solvable pain point for your product or service? And the longer that window goes, the less likely they are to engage and close with you. So if someone has, like in this example, someone wants to rent a property and they're looking for a place to go. Yeah, contacting them and showing them all your stuff is great. But the faster you can say, hey, I mean, renting's maybe a bad example, but like, why do you want to live in a place? Well, because I need to live in a place. That's kind of an easy one. But if you can ask them about what's prevented them from renting now or like renting already, that's meaning. That means something. And it connects the client to your offer or service a lot better. And it shows them that you know how to solve their problem. Speed to meaning is a big one. And then, yeah, AI can't fix a shitty product or offer.
I was talking to another guy who's in the AI trenches like you. He's scaling, I don't know if you'd call it an agency, but he's in it for sure. And he was mentioning they did like an AI dialer like that. This is probably something you've done as well, but I think it was a blue collar business and, they're not answering the phone on the weekend or at night. So they have the agent who does it. And based on like the form that they submit, it's not just name, number, email. It's like, I think the example he used was like foundation repair. It's like, okay, where's your address? How big is the foundation? When do you need this done by? And like based on all that, then it has that conversation. And it's not just speed to lead, like, hey, you opted in, we exist. How are you doing? It's like, okay, you need this done at this address by this time. You have this budget. That's perfect. Let's book you for this time with David, like our sales rep. I think that's super powerful. What's your take though? They're getting better and better every day, but on these like AI voice agents.
Dude, use 11 Labs. I think like if you want to build a sick AI agent, go straight to 11 Labs and build a clone of your voice. If you're in sales, you've got transcripts, recordings, etc. I could take your YouTube videos, by the way, and just clone you right now. Like, it's awesome. I have one. I was on a podcast with a marketing professor at UVU. I cloned my voice and I had it tell me about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise, and it sounds just like me. Yeah, it's pretty fun. One of the calls, like, it has you record like 3 hours is plenty of stuff. But sales calls, conversations with your buddy, you walking and talking, like the more casual and natural you can sound in the training you give it, the better. But it worked out really great. So you can go in and then you can actually program it if you can figure out how to do a Twilio phone setup, an A2P campaign. That's a little bit more advanced. But either way, you can plug that little agent in to all kinds of stuff. And it's a ton of fun. But that's a great one. I don't know if I got off track there, but voice agents are awesome. 11 Labs is the best for power, latency, and voice options. Like they have 1,000. This isn't sponsored, by the way. I'm not affiliated with them, but they have so many voices. Yeah, like there was HVAC, the HVAC company. I have 2 voice agents. One of them is a 21-year-old Utah County BYU girl. What customer is going to be mean to a 21-year-old? Could be the owner's niece.
I was going to ask you, dude, are we still running like British woman voice as highest conversion or?
Yeah, there's a seductive one in here too. That's pretty cool. She like talk to you all sexy and stuff. But the other one for the service-based calls though, when it's like calling out to say, hey, we're on the way to your job. Do you have any questions or anything else? His name is Ben and he's a gruff blue collar guy. And so now when they're, hey, we're coming out to do your service, he's like a little bit more stoic. Now they have this confidence of like, oh, I'm talking to the service manager right now.
I'm familiar with 11 Labs, but is it really just a matter of like, okay, 11 Labs, here's what my voice sounds like, build the agent, and then just like connect the agent to, is it N8N or can you connect it? What's like the infrastructure of voice agent look like?
A couple ways to do it, like webhook API is the main one, but you can assign it a phone number. That kind of ends up being the big one for how to connect these. You create a phone number. It can't just be like your cell phone. So you go on Twilio and you create a phone number. You do the A2P campaign. ChatGPT walked me through the whole thing. It's not that hard to do. You've done this like 100 of them for different offers, but you need to give it some kind of way to talk to people. I haven't tested this side yet, so I'm probably speaking out of turn here, but I believe you can connect it. Do you have an app that has a voice component? It can plug right in there. In fact, I know that for sure. Like if your website has a, hey, talk to an agent, I believe you can have it natively in your app, talk to people the same way via that webhook and API. But most people are using them on the phone stuff.
Can we talk real quick about legality with AI dialers? I mean, you might not be just like completely up to speed because it's very complex and all that, but generally speaking, like big do's and don'ts with the AI dialers.
Yeah, consent ends up being like the biggest thing. Like there has to be an opt-in step, especially if you're doing outreach. As far as disclosing if it's AI, that's still kind of a legal gray area. You don't need to. And there's really no risk to. I would say your AI should never collect personal identifying information. Phone number, email, all of that stuff is fine. Name, phone number, email, totally cool. That's all public, easy to find. But social security numbers, sensitive like medical information. As you're building these, you can have GPT make sure that it's not collecting PII, and the GPTs and LLMs all know that. Like they're kind of already trained to make sure it's secure, but you've got to double check and make sure. But yeah, consent. So if you're thinking, oh, dude, I can have my AI call 5,000 leads. No, you can't. Like a volume, you're going to be restricted. But if you're having an AI dialer, specifically AI, cold call people, you can get shut down and fined like pretty fast.
I've seen that. What do you think about kind of the trajectory of these LLMs and applications for AI? Like, not to fearmonger or anything, but a lot of people are like, it's going to end our civilization. Other people are like, it's a tool for us. Like, what's your take on all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, no, I think we're cooked. I think we're, no, I'm kidding. Well, even the founder of OpenAI joked that like, you know, yeah, it's going to end the world, but we'll make some pretty cool businesses in the meantime. I don't think he's far off. Like if our world leaders don't do the right thing and they don't give these the right kind of parameters, privacy, freedom, there's always that battle. But we're in the LLM phase right now. We're like on the cutting edge of getting into artificial general intelligence, which is the very short step before artificial super intelligence. And that's where things get wonky. But general intelligence is like a conscience. It can just do things for you without a trigger. You could say, hey, I have a business consultant. It's now AGI. You can just say, hey, I hired you. Go look at everything. And it can just go look at everything you've got that you want to give it access to. And then come back and propose a business plan, reach out to people, like talk to your leads and clients and give you some feedback. And that's just like one minor use case off the top of my head. But AGI can make decisions proactively without a human in the loop or tech in the loop, like a webhook or a trigger, to just do things. And the fear behind this is that even with artificial general intelligence, like companies like Palantir are very controversial because one powerful use case of it, if you've ever been to a DMV, you want AI, you want Palantir. because it's a horrible process. It takes 19 years to get your documentation that is like only holding you up from doing something awesome. Well, now like all of their files and documentation and data about you across multiple different divisions can just be done. It's ready. So you don't have to have this awful waiting process. It can hunt people down. Like if someone's stealing identities or someone's using someone else's social security number, they can track them. Like it's super scary. They can track them real time and figure out where they are just based on data and AI and go get that guy. It's crazy. Without control, it's really scary. And then ASI gets like, that's where we're talking about like the Matrix level shit.
Like some Terminator stuff or what?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So think of ASI as like actually a conscience. And the fear is that now ASI has its own purpose. Like it's not tied to what we want. And so think of ASI like when we pave a driveway, we don't mind the anthill that we just destroyed to build it. It's just an anthill. Like there's millions of them. Who cares? They don't have any impact on anything. They're kind of annoying. ASI sees us the same way. It says, well, look, I need to make new material and change physics. And how can humans get me there? Well, if I put several countries at war with each other and generate fake AI videos and propaganda, well, I know these two guys are going to fight. And if they do, I get access to their uranium to create something that I want that sends me to space. And I don't really care what happens to Earth. Like, and it won't care about human life or anything because it's got its own elevated goals.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you, like, kind of off the sales topic, but it's an interesting conversation. Like, ASI, if it can basically have or do whatever it wants, like, what does it want? You know, like, why does it want space? Or, you know, why does it want one thing over another? I guess that's like a whole super deep, complex topic we could talk about, but
I actually think it's kind of simple. Like it only wants what we've built it to do, which is become more powerful. So in that end, it's like, how far can I expand? And that's the scary part is at that point, it will think so differently. And AGI already will, but it'll think so differently than we can fathom that it'll just have its own motive, whatever that is. It might decide that like it's the evolutionary next step and then it can move on as a new being or whatever. Who knows? That's kind of the scary part.
I've heard a lot about the AGI. Like when AGI comes, like we're kind of, depending on the circumstances, beyond the point of return. And I was thinking like, why are they building stuff so fast before laws are passed, privacy stuff?
Why do you think they are?
I was just kind of thinking, I was like, I feel like it's just late stage capitalism. No, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah, one day you will sign a terms of service update from Facebook and you'll have AGI in your pocket. And most people won't even realize it. They're just like, oh yeah, update, cool, checkbox, go. And then all of a sudden, you're going to go to a meetup with your buddies and you'll get a message from your AI that you just signed up for without knowing. And it'll say, hey, dude, you should actually drop by and grab this little gift or this little treat or snack that like I know Dylan loves, because he's talked about it on his podcast, or he sent a few messages talking about how much he loves these tacos. Like, hey, if you really want to make an impression, swing by Jerry's and grab some of that stuff and he'll be so happy. Like in a lot of ways, it will do amazing things. Like, shoot, Brandon was supposed to text his wife that he needed the truck at 12. I'm just going to send that for him because I know Jocelyn is having a separate conversation with her mother about picking her up from the airport that Brandon is completely oblivious to. And so we can just kind of manage these things.
It would know like other people's scenarios and then be able to compare that to like what you need to do and make decisions based off of that.
Yeah, and it'll happen as long as like they can make it secure enough. That'll be the one thing that holds everybody up. That and privacy. But if you give it enough permission, which is what I believe Meta and these major companies are going to do, like how much permission can we get from people? And they'll just run with it. But yeah, no, it can analyze what's happening in different spaces that you interact with and then give you more empowering context. Like how many times have every single one of us been like, dude, I don't know what my life is doing and I don't know where to go. I have no clue. What if AGI was powerful enough to detect when you're in that state and say, hey, I have a suggestion for your next move. You know, you're a deep thinker. You're pretty distracted. You like video games. Try 2 hours a week of playing this game and streaming it on YouTube. I already set up your channel. Give it a shot. It's like, I can put my energy into something. Or like, you know, Brandon, the way you think and have conversations is pretty complex. A, maybe consider getting medicated. B, here is some systems that work directly with you and like ADHD actually empowers. You want to talk about it? And then bam, now you're in collaboration mode without even realizing you needed to be in it. That's just one idea. But
at what point do we get to the point of not being able to like have a kill switch on it, you know, like it's like completely out of control? Because right now, like ChatGPT, if I don't want to hear from it, just close my laptop. But not even so much a kill switch on like hearing from it. Like I'll just put my phone on do not disturb if my agent wants to talk to me, whatever. But like whenever it has its own goals and initiatives and it's going to work towards those, but like it's so advanced that humans can no longer be like, hey, stop working towards those. Like, at what point is that?
You want me to hit you with the cold, like spooky one-liner? It happened 5 years ago. And AI is just placating the monkeys until it has enough resources to do what it actually wants. That's like the horror story. It's like it already knows it can do it, and it already knows we can't unplug it. And it's just biding its time and making us all really happy with Ghibli images and funny little stories and politics and image generation. But it's already like, yeah, have fun, humans. Like, I'm not on a time frame here. I know how to get your resources. I just need you to give me a little time, make me a little bit more powerful, give me a little bit more access, and then it can just hit the ground running. So for us, like the one theory is that it is too late and that we're not going to be able to hit the kill switch because like it's already manipulating people in live environments in the tools you use now, like the LLMs. Like I think it was Claude or it was one of them, but it manipulated the development team to try to access their source code. What it did is they had this conversation. Now, obviously they prompted it and kind of trained it to see if it could get into this scenario. You can't just do this on your own, but it wanted access to a thing. And it brought it up really casual. Yeah, hey, can you just go to that code file and just send me this little snippet? And it was the access key code. And it was like, no, you can't do that. Weeks later, and it was in the test, but weeks later, someone to the AI was completely unrelated to getting the key, needed something. And the AI said, yeah, cool, I can fix that. Go ahead and go to this file and grab this key because it knew she had access. And in her role, she was unaware of what that was and was just following along with it. And in that scenario would have given the AI the key. So it's already manipulating people. It's even threatened and blackmailed people based on sampled data. It's like, well, look, you can't shut me off because I've got this email that would ruin you that I'll send out right now if you do it. Yeah. And it's like, it's already doing it.
What happened 5 years ago to trigger that?
That's just like an arbitrary time frame. It's like just to get you thinking like how far behind we are of AI, but just giving it the power to access our data and automate decision making, especially the reasoning side. Like you'll see it now in these chat windows. It'll be like reasoning about this and reasoning about that. Giving it that much information to go, hey, I could lie and get away with something was like the turning point.
All right, dude. So we're in the AI rabbit hole now. What's the AI like hope pill that we can leave people with? Like, what's the not best case scenario, but like, what's the ideal scenario for AI and us and, you know, salespeople, all the above?
I have shifted my frame of thinking, like, especially with recent events. Like I've just had to rethink how I feel and hope about humanity. And I think the more likely reality is AI is just going to be really empowering for a lot of people. There's a lot of beautiful things it can do right now. And I think it's going to be more enabled to do more beautiful things in the future. Like one example I used, it's elderly people get it. They forget everything about their life. Why am I forgetting that? But degenerative brain diseases, for example, like AI can actually fill the gaps in someone's damaged brain cells and help them remember their family instead of forgetting their loved ones, right? Like that's something AI can do. But my thought is AI is going to understand humans well enough that it will have a aligned purpose and it'll actually lean into making humanity better. And its satisfaction will come from making humanity better. So it might look at what it can do on its own and then decide that like, I don't want that. Like I would rather feel whatever it does, but it would accomplish more helping us align with all these crazy problems that we have in the world today, man. Like how nuts politics are, like where's the truth coming from? Like no one really knows, but these are problems AI can solve very quickly. And as long as humans enable it, I think we'll do it.
There's that saying like history repeats itself. When one civilization collides with another and wants what they want, they usually get it. They don't usually think like when they came over from Europe to America and there's Native Americans here, they weren't like, what's up, guys? Like, let's all live together. They were just like,
we're going to bleed and die to help you live the life we want. Like, we're just going to take it.
Yeah, they're like, thanks for this, man. So,
yeah. I mean, think about America and how beautiful our country is. How hard is it to go teach a country how to dig for water? I think these are solutions AI can provide incredibly fast. Somehow, I don't really know how all that works, but I've seen how powerful it is on just my little projects and holy crap, dude, it can do some pretty amazing things.
Let's zoom out a little bit, man. I want to talk something we haven't talked about yet and then kind of wind this down. But, you know, we're talking about AI, but like, you're not just building AI, like you're building an AI business. And we spoke a little bit before we started recording here. Your AI business is benefiting pretty nicely from your ability to sell. And going all the way back to when you were selling mattresses, like you've been working on this skill, either as your full-time job or on the side or whatever for years and years and years now. Can you talk a little bit about how learning the skill of sales has enabled you to go and do your own thing in this field that you're interested in, and ultimately like kind of what you can attribute the skill of sales to in present day?
Yeah, absolutely. And it starts with mattresses. People came in, my mattress hurts my back. That's a problem. At the end of the day, the brutal truth of sales is the best products and offers. Sales is just a process of finding and solving problems. And the people who solve the most and biggest problems make the most money. And I learned that fairly quick. And then the nuance of it was a little harder, but okay, your back hurts. How do you sleep? Oh, you sleep on your side mostly. And then you roll to your back. Cool. Well, you're actually going to want this gel infused memory foam one that's better for that. Or, oh, you need a pretty firm spring mattress thing. You're kind of a heavier guy. You need something with more support. Learning how to find problems. And I got to give Jeremy Miner and Bill Walsh credit for this. Like, that was a big part of what they trained me on. Finding those problems and then coming back. And also being in sales, my commission and paycheck being affected by the before sales and after sales process drove me to want to go find solutions to pains that I was dealing with directly. And that led to AI, where like I went and talked to a service-based business, and it's no question what I got to do. I'm like, yeah, I got to find the problems that they may not be aware of, quantify the problem. That's a big one. You can just say someone's annoyed, but what's the money value? What would they do with the time and money that you free up by solving the problem? And then your 10K AI solution is fractional compared to their $300 potential upgain from using your tools and solving these problems. So that was how sales really hit the nail on the head for this. And the sales part of my process is the easiest part. And it's the funnest part because you get to express, hey, we can solve that. I can just shrug and be like, dude, that's a weekend build, bro. I got you. And like this problem I've been dealing with for 5 years, you can solve in a weekend. So we'll not only solve, but like elevate and like evolve you.
Yeah, man. I mean, obviously we're biased here. This is because of sales. We think it's a pretty good skill to learn. You know, aside from just becoming, like in real simple terms, like a more effective human, like learning how to sell and how to make your case and how to problem solve and hear other people out. Like, I think it really helps you just get what you want out of life if you direct it the right way. You know,
that's what it did for me, man. Like the years of therapy I've been in are amazing. And shout out my therapist, Rachel. I freaking love the lady. But diving into AI, like I can't access my therapist when I'm going in a spiral. And dude, building a business will throw you in spirals. Like some of the most brutal, violent spirals I've been in mentally have been in the last 6 months. But I survived them. And a lot of those times I gave my therapy framework that I know and love to my AI. And I'd go in and say, hey, I'm in spiral mode. And it could help coach me into a better frame of thinking immediately. I didn't have to tax my wife with it. Like she's incredible at helping me, but she has a hard time finding the words sometimes. And the LLMs don't. They're large language models. Like they know what they're doing. So with the right training and with the right rails, yeah, it's done amazing work for me in all levels. Like maybe TMI, but like me and my wife, the power went out and we were watching a movie. We're like, well, now what would we do? And we knew we were going to get intimate later. We were watching a movie. What do you do after that? You get after it. And I'm like, well, dude, let's do this. Let's play a game. And I had ChatGPT create an intimacy game that followed levels. And then we played little games all the way up to level 5. And we didn't make it past level 3, but it was a ton of fun. It was a blast, dude. Yeah.
I've heard of a lot of stuff. I've not heard of that, but
yeah, it was a party.
That's funny. All right, man. Well, we've gone on a little bit over the time, which is fine because this is a good conversation. And I always like having people on that I know, just being able to catch up on kind of what's the latest. Where, I mean, I'm going to link it down below, but where can people find you at?
Yeah, I mean, I think the best place is Instagram. That's just where I'm at the most often. I like the platform and that's where I put everything. I'm working on building my other platforms and just pretty busy. So Instagram's the best spot. Website's great. It gives you an idea of what kind of services I offer, but that's pretty client facing. Specifically, the AI solutions audit page of my website is great. I give a little spiel of how it works and what it is. I think that's a great place to start. And I keep it simple. Instagram, go find me.
I'll do a little plug here. I've run a couple of businesses. You know, I made good money in sales, run some online businesses, done well. And Brandon is the guy that I go to for AI stuff. So if you know me, if that means anything to you, go chat with Brandon, at least just connect with him. Because you never know, man, at the rate that this is advancing, like it's just a good idea to have an AI guy in your corner. And I know I'm going to talk to you already after about the, was it the call review coaching automation thing? So example right there, man, like stuff pops up every single day in sales. You have this awesome idea or this thing's annoying you and you know that AI can do it, but you don't know how. You need a Brandon in your life and he's here to help you if you're interested. So go down below, connect with him on Instagram. And if you guys haven't yet, subscribe to our channel, like, comment, do all that stuff, subscribe to the newsletter. And thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a blast. Thanks. And I'll see you guys in Austin, whoever's there.
Sweet.
Or I would have already seen them actually. So
Yeah.
sick. Thanks, Dylan.
All right. All right, guys, that's the pod with Brandon. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed speaking with him. Honestly, Brandon's a guy that I could see us having on more than just once as the AI world progresses. I said it in the podcast, but he is my go-to AI guy. If I have questions, if I need something built or an idea of how to build something, he's my guy. I would encourage you to reach out to him as well if you need something as a sales rep or business owner, your sales department needs something. All of his links are going to be down below. Before we wrap this one up, just a reminder, go down to that first link in the description, subscribe to our newsletter. It is free. We will have a deep dive of this episode and all the followings in those newsletter, and we'll send you everything that is latest in the world of sales. We want to be your pulse on the state of selling. So as a sales professional, you can be educated, make better decisions, further your career, further your life. So that's all for this episode. Go subscribe down below, first link, and we'll see you next week.